Hi, I'm Becky from Retro from Scratch. I love to craft, I love to recycle old books and turn them into something new, give them a new lease of life. And today I'm going to give you a little trick. This will be your new party trick, how to turn one sheet of A4 paper into a notebook. I'll let you into a secret. When I shared this video on TikTok, there was outrage because I said it was using just one sheet of paper. And I forgot to mention that you also need some scissors. So grab yourself a sheet of paper and I'll show you what to do. Take a piece of paper and fold it in half. Make those creases as neat as you can. And then we're going to fold it in half again. So that's now 2 folds. We're going to fold it again, but I'm going to actually open the folds, because if I just fold again, in fact, let me show you. If I fold again, this is really thick now, this bit of paper here, and it's not going to crease as well. So I'm going to unfold it and fold in to the center line like so. And the key is really to fold as neatly as you can. And to get the best folds, I would actually recommend using a bone folder. So a bone folder is a tool which you can use in bookbinding to create perfect sharp creases. Now this is a vegan bone folder because it's not made from actual bone, it's made from plastic. But a bone folder is normally a little bit smaller than this, has a sort of pointy tapered edge, and that is perfect at running across the paper at a 45-degree angle. Now, if you haven't got one of these, but you want to get that sharp edge, you can use your thumbnail, or if you're like me and you've got red nail varnish, that will come off on the paper if you're not careful, even if it is gel nails. Or you can just use a plastic ruler and just use that edge to crease the paper smooth. Right, let's get back to it. Okay, so we're going to fold again. This time I'm going to show you using the bone folder so that you can get the neatest, sharp creases. But you don't have to use a bone folder if you don't want to. Okay, so at this stage we have 16 rectangles. We want to make one more fold so that we have 32. So we're going to open this up. I'm going to come in here. So you can go with your finger first, and then you can go over with the bone folder, and then the same on the other side. And now we have 32 rectangles on a piece of A4 paper. Now you're going to need some scissors, and I wouldn't use too large scissors if you can. This size are just perfect. They fit in the palm of my hand, and we are going to cut along this folded line here up to one end. We're then going to go in the opposite direction, cutting from this end, stopping one rectangle away, and then we're going to repeat down the other side. So let's get cutting. Now I'm using scissors, but if you wanted to, for the perfect neatest book, you would use a Stanley knife and a ruler, a metal rule. So let me show you what that looks like. So if you've got a Stanley knife, a craft mat, and a metal ruler that is cork backed, then by all means use these for the perfect neatest line. However, if you are doing this as a party trick, I would suspect you probably won't have these things to hand at the time. So what you would do is I would go use this direction. We're now going to cut the middle line. We don't want to cut this end piece off. So I'm putting that at the top, using my ruler along the edge here. And then very carefully cutting that line. So it's neat as a pin. But if you haven't got that, just use scissors. And so now I'm just going to do this last line cutting down here. So you've basically got this long chain of paper now. We're going to fold it all together. So start at one end and you're going to concertina. It doesn't matter which way you go, just concertina along. So you're folding 1, 2, back and forth. Some of the folds will be going in the right direction and some of them won't, and that's okay. Just go back and forth. Now, when you get to this end piece, we're going to put this side like this, and then we're going to fold onto the next piece, like so. And then we concertina all the way down. It'll kind of feel natural to you to just, when you get to this end bit here, so you go over, and then we're going to join this side, and so we fold down and make our way. This bit's quite fun. And of course, the neater you are, it means that your notebook is going to have neater finishes. Last one. We are nearly there. Last page. Ta-da! And now you have a little notebook. How brilliant is that? But we can do more to this. So what we're going to do now is we need to put, but it's a little bit loose. It's a little springy. A little loose, it's a little springy. So let's make a cover for it. So there's two options. Let's go easy option first. So this one I've made using A3 paper. So you can see it is actually twice the size. And this has a very simple cover. So all you need to do is use a piece of paper or piece of card. You can get away with a thicker card on this one. And then just lay your little notebook on top. Use a ruler and give it a little bit of a gap at the top and the bottom. About, I'd say, 3mm each side. And draw a line. Now you could measure it, I'm just doing it by eye. And you need enough for the notebook, a little lip here, the notebook pages, spine, and then an edge there. So I'm going to say roughly about there. And again, you could measure it top and bottom to get exact measurements, keep it perfectly straight. I'm just doing it by eye. So this is the piece that we need for our cover, and you could use a knife and blade, but I am just going to use scissors. I will measure this for you, so then you will know. This is a very pretty, sparkly paper with flowers on. So this measures 6.5 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres. And then all you need to do is fold that in half. Because this is a much thicker paper, it's a thin card really, it's a little harder, so that's really helpful. And then you just need to get some glue. I've got a little glue stick that I'm going to use here. And all you need to do, and this you would do in standard bookbinding, you know, traditional bookbinding where you sew pages, you glue one edge of the page like so. And then you pop it in your book, and then you attach, place this where you want it, and then you push the cover on top and hold that down. Okay, and then you turn it over the unsticky side, and then we're going to apply the glue. So I'm not putting the paper onto the book, I'm putting the cover onto the paper. That is basic bookbinding techniques. These pages are just a little more wobbly because they're not sewn together. And there we are. That won't take very long to dry because we're only using a glue stick. Voila! And now you have your little notebook, and it's not so springy anymore. Isn't that gorgeous? That is so cute. So we can take this up another level. We can turn it into a hardback notebook. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So you're going to need some board. So if you've got some old board lying around, this is perfect because you're going to be covering it up so you won't see. This is 2000 microns, so a 2mm board. But you can use anything, so the back of notepads or any other sort of cardboard. You can even use corrugated cardboard for this project because it's just a little notebook. It's just something small and cute. So it really doesn't matter what board you use. It's more about the thickness. If you can get it so it's 2mm thick, that would be great. To make the little hardback book, you're going to need some board. It's the sort of stuff that they make beer mats out of. But I just happen to have a bit left over. You can see something else glued to it there. We need a front and a back board, so 4.5 centimetres by 6 centimetres. And then we also need a little spine, which is about 0.8 centimetres. So if you measure that up on your board, we'll go this side. So we want 4.5, 4.5. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. 4.5, 4.5. And then just join those lines together. So that's the width of our front and back boards. We also want to add on 0.8 for the spine. And then where we used a card to cover this one, we're actually going to be using a paper that's much thinner. So something that's around 80 grams is good. I wouldn't go any more than 100 gram paper. Again, this is a piece of scrap that I've got left over from another project. So let's just finish that spine there. And then we need to do the height, which was 6 centimetres. So I'll measure 6 centimetres here and 6 centimetres over here. Now, if you're using a board like this, then you will need to use a ruler and a metal rule, a knife and a craft mat to cut this. It would be very difficult without. If you're using corrugated cardboard, then by all means use some scissors. So I'm just going to cut this with the knife and ruler. It's always easier actually to cut the smaller pieces off first, because as you can see, they can move. When you're working on such a small scale, you really need to put the weight down. And actually, I'm sitting down right now, but I would actually suggest that you stand when you're cutting with the Stanley knife like that to prevent any movement. Because that way you can really put your weight down onto the piece of card. So now we have our 3 pieces. We've got the front cover, our spine and the back cover, and we're going to attach them to the sheet of paper. So obviously this is going to be the outside. There's some marks on the paper here, so I'm going to stay over in this area. I really like pink, so I'm going to try and get as much pink that's down here and get as much. So I'm going to stick it down here because I like the colours that are on the other side. And then I'm just going to use the glue stick and attach the boards to the paper. It doesn't really matter about lining anything up at the moment, apart from leaving a good gap here at the bottom, just enough paper to wrap over easily. So I'm going there, I'm going to do a bit for the spine. Like so. You want these to be in alignment. And then what we're going to do is cut around. Now we don't even need to be straight with this. We can just cut around, no problem whatsoever. Just need to leave a big enough border. Because you're not going to see it because we're going to put paper inside. And then we want to just cut off around the corners. You want to leave a little bit of a gap. I like to leave 2mm because, or 3mm I should say, because the board is 2mm high. It's just approximately. It's just to make sure that you cover the corners. So this is what we've got on this side. Let's move that out of the way. And then we're going to glue all the way around the edge. Try not to get glue on your craft mat. I say this, you can see where I've got glue on my mat and it can actually damage it. And all you need to do is fold over the edges like so. Put a little crease in there. When you get to the corners, if you just poke that bit down there, like so, that will just help neaten the edge when you fold over like that. Okay, and then we do the same here. We're just sort of folding it up and inwards. Over goes this side. I'm going to do the 2 together there, use my thumbnails, and then flip that over like so. So now we have our little hardback cover. Isn't that sweet? In beautiful rainbow. I'm just going to push that down. Some of the paper hasn't stuck to the glue there. There we go, just to smooth out any little bumps. And then for the last bit, we just need to pop the paper inside. So we are going to apply, like before, glue on one end. Position it. So this time we're going to come right up to this board here because we've got the spine to allocate this room. And then fold up and over. And press that down. And then we're going to turn that over and do the same on the other side. Glue. And we bring the cover to the paper. Like so. And there you have it, your little hardback notebook. We have 2 little notebooks here, each one made from just 1 sheet of A4 paper. I would love to know if you give this a try. What are you going to do with these little notebooks once you've finished with them? Well, you could give them to a friend. You can put some sweet little notes in them. You could do one of those Flickr pictures, or I've just stolen one of the dog's toys to demonstrate this. You could add them to your children's toy collection. So Mr. Sloth here is going to go and do some reading now. But whatever you do with them, I think it's just a really cute little thing to make. They're really sweet. And also, this is your very beginner's guide to bookbinding. I hope you've enjoyed it. This is my very first YouTube video, so please be kind. Any comments, I'd love to hear from you, but do give us a like and please subscribe for more videos. I'm going to be back next week with something new and crafty to share with you. I'll see you then.